This video is just, I'm building another SSG. I had one that I built before, and I'm building a new one with some of the things I've learned. So I just wanted to show for people that are building one maybe some tips to get started. So the first thing I did is I went down to the bicycle shop and I bought an aluminum bicycle wheel, which I believe is a 24-inch bicycle wheel. And I have some Radio Shack super glue, which seemed to work really well. And the Radio Shack magnets, you can also buy them at Home Depot. Just the same magnets that are listed on the instructions. And you just basically hold it like that and tilt the wheel up on the side of a table and put a bead of glue right along there. And then, you blow on it for a minute or two, let it dry, and flip it over and do a bead of glue on the other side. And just repeat. And the way I did this was I lined it up with a spoke. So one spoke matched exactly the side of that magnet right there, and then I took two spokes over and did another magnet, and that way I didn't have to measure or anything. I just basically went off the spokes and ended up with, I believe, 18 magnets on this wheel. And then the spacing they say you're supposed to use 3 magnet widths, so 1, 2, 3, and about a half. So it works out just about perfectly. And then this is just a piece of plywood. I cut it to about 32 inches by 1 foot wide, and 2x4s with a little bevel on it. And you just cut them, the bevel top and bottom the same, and kind of work it out, make sure they're identical so it's nice and even. And that's screwed with from the bottom under there with a couple of nice stainless steel screws. And again, this here plate is aluminum. I drilled a hole through it and then cut it at the top with my jigsaw to kind of do a little groove, because these bolts, if you've seen the wheel bolts there, have a little bit of a square end on them, so they'll slide in and won't turn. And then holes, little stainless screws. In this case, I needed a little bit of a spacer, so I had a plastic shim underneath there. So that's the wheel. And then spin it. I use carburetor cleaner to blow the grease out of the bearings, and then just use Tri-Flow lubricant in its place. Took a rag, wiped it around there, cleaned the old grease out. This wheel, before I mounted it on the turntable, I held it in my hands and turned it, and I can feel it's a little bit out of round, not balanced. So as you can see, I have a little bit of a weight there, which is not quite enough. But this wheel, for whatever reason, it always ends up basically to stop right there. So if I tilt it, you can see it goes down. Yeah, so for some reason it's not perfectly balanced. So I'll be working on that to balance it out. And then over here, so I wound my coil. I'm actually doing, this is a quad filer. I'm going to try with some couple of different ideas, but same deal if you do a bifiler. And then these little European style thread holders, you can get them at Radio Shack. They're pretty cheap and they're really nice. And the intent here is to basically, I'm going to label up one side of this be top and bottom, and I will have my trigger, my run, or run 1, 2, and 3, and then trigger and then run 1, 2, and 3 again. So it'll be all nice and neat and labeled. And then the end of these wires, if anybody's ever played around with them, you'll know that it's almost impossible to solder to them. At least the wire that I bought. So you have to scrape it very carefully. And then what I've done is I just take a little piece of 18 gauge speaker wire, and I just strip it and put it on just like that, twist it around, and then I solder that after I've scraped it. And then I cut the speaker wire off, like up there, and that leaves me like a little nub on the end that's easy to get a hold of and has a good contact, and I just slide that into the contact hole on the European strip and screw it down. And then you can connect bigger wires out on the other side. So that's that. And then the top of this has got the welding right here is my welding rod cutting jig. If I can put it so you can actually see the welding rod, but that's the welding rod. I actually had to find this at a welding specialty supply store. They don't call it Lincoln R60, and as a matter of fact, they made fun of me when I told him I was looking for our 60 and told me to go stop getting instructions from Grandpa. But they did have it soft steel, copper-coated welding rod, and they have a 16th inch, and they have one size smaller than that, which is what this is right here. And I take like 3 of them, and I just lay them down like that, and then I have a pair of sort of heavy-duty wire snippers. These I got at Home Depot for about 15 bucks, 20 bucks. They have a special thing here where it sort of gives you better mechanical advantage. You know, so they don't open real wide, but they'll snip hard things, and these welding rods are actually quite tough. I usually take 3 at a time, and I just basically hold this up right up against the wood and snip, and then set it over, build a stack on the side over here, and then I take them and push them up and put them in the coil. And then here's one that was completed. And you notice there's a little bit of shiny around the top right there, and that's what I'm using is bullseye shellac. This was about 12-15 bucks for a bottle of this at Home Depot, and it works pretty good. Basically, I just put all the wires in there, get them all nice and tight, just like you normally would, and then I take this over the top and just give it a squirt like that. And as you can see, it soaks down quite fast into the coil, and then I let it dry a little bit, flip it over, do a couple squirts from the other side, and that seals it up and also holds it in place in the coil. Seems to work really well. And on the bottom, I have a hole in the welding rod. That's sort of the dirty end, basically. And then little stainless steel screws there to hold it down onto this board, and then the board I can just slide in. Slide right into there. And then once I get everything the way I want it, then I'll just screw that down, and I can screw it over here where I can actually get my screwdriver to screw it down. So, and then the electronics, which I'll have out here, will connect with bigger wire over to my European block on that. And that's, you know, basically it. It doesn't actually take a whole lot to make these. It's more just time to find the parts and just a few little things you need to do it. So that's that. That's my to-be. So I got my wheel running that I was talking about earlier. So it's moving along. You should be able to see the movement there. I got a timer strip on the things. It should ramp down the brightness, pushing about 80 milliamps. It's pulling the way I have it tuned right now about 150 milliamps. It's just running really, really nice. I'm using two of the wires for runs, and I have one that I haven't used yet. And can I say, it plugged it in, it worked right away. So I got a nice clean little setup there. 2 transistors, potentiometer, 2 little strips. I got my run and my charged here, and it was a nice wheel. Works good. This is probably the first time I've ever got anything to work the first time.